Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Dave Hayes and I'm your instructor, professor for IR 6690, the Capstone class. And so our mission in life is to get you to write a 5,000 word research paper by the end of week 6. And that date will become seared. I haven't started writing it down. That date, like in the class, like everything starts with that date. They just sits there. But before we have that pressure, what can we do to, get you going and make this process easier? One thing is to assure you that I'm here. I'm going to help you with this. You can call me at any time and we can talk about this. And in fact, I really hope that everyone will call me at least once to back and forth, because I find that a real-time, discussion, not texting or not, email exchanges really works. But what you can do right now before you start the class is start working on the topic, start developing your research question. Now, what is that? The beginning of your research starts with, it starts with you. You have to, the thing I need you to do is finish the sentence, I want to do my paper on. Okay, that you got to do that. I can't do that for you. You got to pick the topic. Then, typically, like if you're on the phone with me, I'd go, oh, that's interesting. So what about it interest you? And what aspect of this do you really want to explain? And of course, one of the great things is when we talk, I have specifics, and right now I'm kind of hypothetical, right? But the point is, that's the first thing, because your interest is really important in all this. What are you interested in? And so I'm going to start trying to get a sense of what you want to explain in that topic area. What is your dependent variable? Or another way to put it, in broad terms, your dependent variable. What is your research aim, right? What do you want to do? What's the broad question in this topic area that you want to answer? And maybe you know that, maybe you don't. Either way, I'm going to say, well, you need to start reading, right? You need to go into JSTOR and you need to start reading the scholarly literature on this topic. And so you're going to go in, you're going to find an article on it, you're going to read that stuff. Then in that article, they're going to have references to other articles, maybe some books, right? And, there might be some books on this topic that are good to know. And hey, it's November. You've got time to order something from Amazon, right? And maybe read or listen to an audiobook. So, this is the time to get that familiarity. And as you read, your interest should interact with what other people have done. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to find, hey, what's the state of the art? What are the questions these guys have asked? What are the answers they've come up with? What methods have they used or not used? Because very often people say stuff without really doing much to see if it's right. And by the way, that is what we're going to do with this paper. We're going to going to take something, an idea about the world, and do something with facts to see if it might be right. We're going to apply some kind of test, some kind of cross-examination to it, but we'll get there later. So you go and you start doing your literature review, and you want to understand the literature, and you want to categorize it, figure out the questions they've asked, but most importantly, you want to find the research gap. You want to find the thing they haven't done, or maybe it's not something they haven't done. Maybe there's a debate between two explanations, right? That is yet unresolved and could be. Maybe there's somebody hasn't looked at this question, right, that you're looking at as well as they could. The point is, you need to be able to root your research question, the question about the world you're going to answer by looking at facts, in the existing literature. So you want that literature review done, or as mostly done as you can get it. Now, it doesn't mean that you've written it and it's in its final form, but it does mean that you've taken notes, that you have processed the information, you've categorized the literature, and more important than anything else, you've done something to identify the gap or the opportunity in the research to add to it in some way, right? because everyone thinks, oh, how can we add to what all these other scholars have done? When you read their stuff, you figure out, oh, there you go, gaps you could drive a truck through. And oh, by the way, in a scholarly journal article, one of the things they do in their conclusions is suggest future research. Now, a lot of those things are big, and there are a lot of things you're not going to be able to do, right? Don't become discouraged. We will find some place to stick the knife, okay? We will find some way to do something. But I need to know what the question is, right? So I tell people, look, trust the process, right? At the beginning, it's about, you deciding what you want, you interacting and developing and narrowing and getting a focus, and then really going and nailing down what the state of the art of the literature is on what you're focused on your research aim. And then saying, okay, here's what the question we should really look at to do something to improve this, to plug that research gap. And from that point, if you come to me with that, oh, we're going to have a good term, right? Because normally it takes 2 weeks to get to that state in the class if you come in cold, right? And honestly, half the students, I'm still messing around with this into the third, fourth week, right? So, a lot of your time gets blown on that. And if you can do that now, and like I say, this is a great time to do this. This is a great time to look at the literature, read it, look at these scholarly articles, look at the literature they've suggested, because they cite people, and this is the part, this is when you could order a book from Amazon and still read it, right? This is the time to do that background. And if you come in with that, then we can sit down, or we'll talk and say, all right, and I can make suggestions. I say, it sounds like a process trace would be really great. I make very specific suggestions. I am part of the team, okay? I am going to help you with this, but I need all the stuff I just talked about. And so, like I say, you can call me. We can talk ahead of time. That's fine at any point. It is good to talk. It is good to back and forth. And so I can get specific to what you're doing. And whatever you can do between now and the beginning of the class in January is all to the good. There's no pressure. Take your time, read something, think about it, go wrap a Christmas present, eat some Thanksgiving leftovers, whatever. And then you can move on. And if you're doing that, and that is how you hit the ground running in January. Hope that makes sense.